Good morning and welcome to Gospel Bytes, where we take a bite of the gospel for the day. Today is July 1st, Canada Day. So here in Canada, we have a different reading, and it's on the Beatitudes. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then Jesus began to speak and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so today we hear about the Beatitudes, and we always hear that it's the state of happiness, the highest happiness, the happiest that you can be. It's called the Beatitude. And so Jesus outlines the secrets to happiness. Now, the Beatitudes is at the center of the teachings of Jesus. And as they said in the Old Testament, the center of the Old Testament, the teaching of Moses, the center of which is the Ten Commandments. So the Beatitudes sort of balances the teachings of how it is to be a true follower of God. So in the Old Testament, it's more of thou shalt not and thou shalt. It's more of the acting, the doing. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. So it's the judgment is on the action. Thou shalt not lie. In the New Testament, in the Beatitudes, the center or the focus is no longer at the doing, but the being. You have to be. You have to be merciful. You have to be a peacemaker. You have to be poor. So God is not just judging us by the things that we do, but also the intentions of our hearts. And I always say this is the difference when you try and teach a child. You just tell the child, don't do that, don't stick your finger in a socket, don't do that, don't say that. But when you're dealing with a teenager and you tell them to do this, do that, and don't do this, they would ask why. So normally you would tell them, oh, because you have to be decent. That's why you cannot wear that, because you have to be decent. You have to be modest. So there's already the explanation of why we don't do things, why we do things. And I think in the Old Testament, God taught Israel like a child. You follow me because I'm your God. Just don't do this, don't do that. In the New Testament, it's like he was talking to a teenager, close to an adult. They know the rules already, and they kind of question why we're doing these. So Jesus is saying, well, you have to be a peacemaker because you have to be meek because you will inherit the land. So there's already an explanation, a reward for being. Another thing that some theologians say is that all of these talk about Jesus. Jesus was poor, who was meek, who was a peacemaker, who was persecuted. So if you want to identify with Jesus, if you want to be happy, identify with Jesus, then you have to be all these. So these are all descriptions of Jesus. In the Old Testament, the Ten Commandments was sort of the same thing. If you do this, do this, do this, you will be like God, who is who kind of who does all these too. You know, he doesn't steal, he doesn't lie, he does. He's always he doesn't. There is no other gods. You know, so it's um, it's the way by which we become images of God when we follow commandments. In the New Testament, we become images of God when we become like Jesus. So they have the same purpose, but this one is clearer because it goes deeper. It's not just the things that we do, but the way we become like Jesus. As we celebrate Canada Day, we celebrate the blessings that we have received, and we are very grateful. I always say this, of all the millions of people from our countries, and those of us who come from different countries, we were the ones who were blessed, who was fortunate to be able to come. You know, for a lot of times people come to the West for economic reasons, you know? And so it's almost like we're so glad, we're so happy to be in a place where we can be, where we can people can be financially stable, when they can find a job, when there is freedom. You know? So in a way we are blessed, but Jesus is saying today that there is a greater blessing, there is a higher state of happiness if you become more like Christ. You know, unfortunately, a lot of us, a lot of immigrants, when they come here, they say, well, you know, we have to work, we have to have 3 jobs, and I have to pay for this, pay for that. I have so many things. We think that we can be happy with things, and we forget the teachings of Christ. And well, some people don't even go to Mass, they don't bring their children to catechism. It's not a priority for them anymore, you know. I've met people who were so religious from their home country, and everybody went to Catholic school, and they were all catechized well. But when they come here, they kind of shove that aside. And, well, you know, I have to look after my living first, and I don't have time for these things. You know, Jesus is saying, there is a higher happiness than possessing. And in the Old Testament, there's more happiness than just doing. True happiness comes in becoming like Christ. So we have to first learn about Christ and then live like Christ, to become more and more like Him. So as we become grateful to God for the blessings, we have to also strive and realize that there is a greater blessing more than all the material things that we are enjoying, and that is to become more like Christ. So that is our prayer, and that is our hope, that amidst the affluence, amidst the luxuries, amidst the comfort, we have to realize there is something more to all of these. So we strive to become more and more like Christ. So I'm Father Jerry Sembrano, and this is Faith for another edition of Gospel Bytes. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Let's get ready for Mass, and happy Canada Day.